Kanye West discovers a new trend because he's really good at discovering, new trends and staying ahead of a curve. And it is the Tesla Model S. I know, you probably say, Alex, listen, Tesla Model S has been around for like 6 years. True, but if Kanye West tweets, especially at Elon Musk, it is news, it is trend, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about that and a few other actual news that's going on in the world of electric cars, and a comment of the day, of course. All of this coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric.
If you are watching me live on Patreon, thank you for your support. And if you're watching me on YouTube in the replay, of course, thank you as well. Feel free to comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, I can't believe we're talking about this. But Kanye West, the guy who prides himself in being ahead in fashion and shoes and music and pretty much everything, discovered that the recently bought Tesla that he bought, the Tesla Model S, is awesome. As a matter of fact, he just tweeted saying, "I really love my Tesla. I am in the future. Thank you, Elon." You're not in the future, man. You're like 6 years behind the present. I already get annoyed slightly, I have to admit, when people post on Facebook like now in 2019. It's like, oh, look at this. I got a new Tesla. This is congratulations on the new Tesla. But a lot of us have been doing it for like 6 years. That's just not a news anymore. Now, I'm not any endorsement of electric car by anybody really who has any type of following, and this guy has a few followers, I think, is good. So I mean, I'm not really I'll take it, obviously, but it's just funny. This guy actually thinks that he discovered something, and I'm actually, it's surprising that it took him so long to get this, because I think a lot of celebrities have been getting it for years. So the fact that he just discovered it is just funny. And by the way, when I was researching the story, it looked like some people were saying, there were some articles that he didn't even get the funnest car, because he called it the funnest car ever, that he actually got 75D. But first of all, it was on Fox News website, so that already raised some questions in my head. But also the fact that I don't think he shops by looking at which model he wants to get. I think he just comes over and says, whatever is the most expensive price for whatever version I can pay, I want that. And then he also went to a custom shop and did some modifications, I think, including paint and stuff like that. So I doubt that he bought a 75D instead of P100D. So thanks, Fox News, for another great coverage. Anyway, listen, let me move off of this story, because there's actually other electric car news that are waiting for us. But before that, let me remind you that this channel and this particular video is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla, in case if you also want to modify your Tesla just a little, just like Kanye West, and you can save a few bucks doing so. Just grab the discount code in the description of this video. All right, let's talk about the Beijing Auto Show, which I am not on right now. I am not at my plane is literally in the air right now, but I didn't get my visa in time, which we kind of knew was going to be a possibility. Obviously dealing with any government is not going to be very efficient. Dealing with a communist government as a journalist is obviously a little bit slower than that. So I'm still planning to go to CES Asia in June and cover the upcoming Biden's new car and a few other things. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm a little bit jet lagged from Milan still, so I'm not really that sad, I have to say. But that also means that I get to be with you guys every day of the week. And because I made all of these extra videos to post while I'm gone, you're gonna get 2 videos per day in the next few days. So I think you're gonna find that hopefully useful. All right, now the reason I have this picture from the Beijing Auto Show is because this is a Mercedes Maybach prototype, and it's all electric. I think it's a great fit, because remember I did a story about Rolls-Royce, and a lot of people commented that a quiet electric car is silence is part of luxury when it comes to cars, right? That's why Rolls-Royces are so quiet. So this kind of fits right in. It's going to have 4 motors on each wheel, obviously, and it looks really luxury inside. It actually has got its own tea service on the back. I probably should have gotten a picture of that. I thought it was kind of cute. But they've also released a video of the car and then some guy in a chair talking about it. So it's, you know, as you guys know, some of these stories are not breakthrough stories, but at the same time, knowing that now the luxury brands and more expensive cars are going with electric drivetrain and in all electric cars, that means that the whole industry is moving towards that. Obviously, Mercedes doing this is also a big deal because it's not some startup trying to create electric cars. No disrespect for anybody. I love all electric car startups, but when a major manufacturer does something like this, obviously that pushes everybody forward just a little bit more. So kudos to them. And I have to say, a pretty good looking car. So this kind of a crossover between as you can see, kind of sits a little high between an SUV and a sedan, and I'm assuming they did it mainly for the headroom. The car still looks pretty sedany, I guess. I don't know whatever the right word is. Not sure if it comes with flowers. I'm not really sure if you want to have that annoying neon lining all over the place all the time, but definitely a good looking car. Oh, there you go. There's a tea service. That's pretty cool, right? As a European guy from Europe, I love tea, so this is actually appeals to me greatly. All right, well, let's talk about a few other things. And by the way, let me remind you that I got a few cool interviews coming up. Every Saturday I do an interview. The next one is Zach and Jesse coming up. And we're going to talk about quite a few things. I have to say that I pre-recorded that interview. I mean, I streamed it live on Patreon. So if you're a Patreon, thank you so much for supporting me. You can watch that hour-and-a-half interview. We talked a lot. I mean, we've talked about things that we've disagreed on. So we were able to have a great debate rather than just agree and hug and, you know, for an hour and a half. So I hope you guys find that useful. It is going to be posted on YouTube on Saturday, but I have other cool guests coming up. John LaFleur, the VP of product for Workhorse, is going to be here. I'm excited about that brand. I've covered their W15 truck at the CES here in the United States and Vegas in January, so I'm looking forward to that. And Henrik Fisker is going to be here on May 12th. We will probably pre-record it a day earlier, but we will still stream live on Patreon. So if you want to ask questions live and watch this live, please join me. Of course, supporting the show is important for me just because the expenses for equipment and travel is a lot. All right, let me move on to the next story, which is Target is announcing that they're going to install about 100 of their locations are going to install the charging stations, either from Tesla, the superchargers, or from Electrify America, which is a project that's brought to us by Volkswagen cheating scandal, Dieselgate. So that's good news. And you know, Tesla has superchargers on quite a few Target locations. Really, the closest supercharger to me now that opened a couple of months ago is at the Target location. So that's pretty cool. Electrify America, obviously, it's important for them to keep going. They just made a deal with a Walmart, now with Target, so that's great. Now I'm wondering if 100 locations, 600 actual stations is a good progress in the next 2 years. I would say not. You know, I mean, I've been talking about how slowly the electric car movement has been growing, and yes, we've been growing, and every step is an important step. But you know, 100 locations for entire country is just, I mean, I don't know. We could do better, I think, but it also shows that, you know, we're not there yet as far as reaching that what do you call it, the critical mass of people who are ready to move forward and buy electric cars. There are quite a few electric cars, as I've covered it many times, are coming up this year, so I hope that will change. Hopefully Target and Walmart then in other locations and other stores would rethink this and add way more stations and locations to their current plans. But nevertheless, major store chain is moving forward with electrifying their parking lots. But you know what would really help though? Because I don't know if you've ever been to like IKEA or Target or whatever other, every time they build those, they never enforce them, right? And every time, like, I hate complaining about, you know, seeing so many gas cars parked in electric car spots right in front of everyone's noses. Every time I complain, they go like, "Oh no, the parking lot is not ours. This belongs to some other company that we don't know about, or the landlord is in charge of that." So it's funny how sometimes they claim the victory, saying, "Yeah, we're going to provide charging stations," but then every time it comes to enforcing the actual rule, they're like, "Oh, we don't know anything about this. This is what we don't know." It's just annoying, and I always tell them, guys, you know what? If you're not going to enforce it, just don't do it. Don't do it, or put it at the end of the parking lot. We can walk, but don't make it look like you're all for green energy and everything. But then any gas car can park, and they do. I mean, I was just at Whole Foods the other day, and literally out of like 6 spots they had for the green cars, 5 were taken by gas cars, and you could see that literally outside of the window from the manager. I decided to be a bit of a jerk and finally said, "Hey guys, can I talk to the manager? And like, are you enforcing this?" I mean, I also mainly did it so I can report it to you, as I'm doing right now. But so as I'm talking to the manager, his or her window was literally overseeing the part of the parking lot that has those charging stations, those spots for the electric cars. So it's not like they're not aware, they just don't really care. So I wish that would change. But again, good news overall for us. Let me move on to comment of the day before I go on a huge rant about this. The comment of the day comes from David. He posts pretty regularly, and we don't always agree. I think we're just about not agree again. But we were talking about the LiDAR because it looks like the new teaser pictures from Biden about their new sedan that's going to be unveiled in June at the CES Asia has a LiDAR on top of that. And David says, Elon, the engineer and physicist, says the LiDAR is junk. What do you know that he does not? Well, it's not about what I know that he does not. It's about what almost every self-driving technology maker that appears to be better than Tesla knows than he does not. Now, we can talk a lot about how LiDAR has its own faults, obviously, and let's forget about the price, because the price will come down enough for it to be viable for manufacturers to use it. But obviously, because it's because of the way the technology works, any type of particles in front of it, rain, fog, sandstorm, and so forth, does impair, and lower the quality of LiDAR. However, if you think about it, that any extra technology that can help you determine the object is helpful, because the good thing about the LiDAR, it can really create a picture, 3D picture, many feet away, I believe up to 200 feet away, and that's important so you can see, for example, which way a person has turned his or her head, so you know if that person is moving this direction or the other direction. Are they just about to step in front of you, in front of your Volvo, or they actually already just done crossing and they're moving in a different direction? So that's important. Yes, it may not always work. And yes, they're improving it, as you know. I just only put a couple of sentences from the comment. David went on acknowledging that LiDARs have made great progress in the last 20 years, just like any technology. And I'm not saying we should only use LiDARs. I'm just saying we should LiDARs in addition to cameras and radars, because together they just create a much better, set of tools for the fully autonomous cars. Let me put it this way. LiDARs will not make the self-driving cars worse, for sure. But when they do work in the conditions that are very often are there, they definitely provide a very important information for the car. And as a matter of fact, we should understand that artificial intelligence technology will also be a little bit worse when the conditions like rain and sandstorm and so forth are there. Just like we as human drivers are not as good in those conditions. As a matter of fact, we're kind of terrible. Every time it rains 3 drops here in California, everybody gets in an accident, right? So that technology also is going to have its own challenges, but having a LiDAR is definitely a benefit. In no way it's a disadvantage, and that's why I think it's a good idea to have. And again, we know that Tesla is no longer on the front lines of self-driving technologies. Waymo and other companies have done a much better job, and they're much further along with their technology, and they all use LiDARs. So I'm gonna base my opinion on that as well. So I hope, David, that answers or at least addresses your concern about that. But thank you so much, and thank you for commenting very often in the section, in my comment section. Unfortunately, I'm not able to read and even reply to as many comments as I used to be able to, just because there's so many. This community has grown. But I will answer all of them, obviously on Patreon for that community. So if you haven't been supporting my show on Patreon, I strongly encourage you to do that, and I thank you for that. All right, so let's wrap things up. I'm going to be back since I'm not in China. I'll be back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. But I'm going to release a video later on today and every day for the rest of the week. The videos that I was going to release as I was gone, but they're actually good videos. One is going to be about my road trip with my Tesla adventure here in California over the weekend. Another one is about Byton and Milan, which I haven't released that video yet. And a couple of other ones that I think you guys are going to enjoy. And of course, don't forget, Saturday, Zach and Jesse are going to be here with my interview. And it's probably one of the best interviews that I've done as far as enjoying the guests and the information you guys are going to get. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time, live here on Patreon and repost on YouTube. Other than that, don't forget to stay charged.